Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, you're pretty good.
Boom, boom, boom.
Welcome, everybody. BLT Bets, episode 13. We got Liam on the beat.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
Then there's a cool drop in there somewhere, but I don't...
Boom. There you go.
There you go. BLT Bets, episode 13. Bag Milk, Liam, and Zach sitting in for Tyler, who is on vacation.
Hello.
We're going to talk a little betting. Interestingly, Liam, after we recorded last week, this podcast, we were looking at some NHL futures.
We pulled them up.
And immediately after we finished recording, our friends at PointsBet Canada released a whole bunch more things that we could potentially bet on heading into next season.
Everything we wanted to talk about on the podcast happened as it ended. So now,
yes,
get ready for another NHL Futures podcast.
Zach, we're getting to it.
Love it.
Let's do it. What do we got here, Liam? Where do we want to start?
All right, let's just start where we know. The Pacific Division. Yeah. So the Edmonton Oilers finished second in the Pacific Division last year behind the Calgary Flames. Mm-hmm. Calgary won, obviously, like I just said.
But you know what's interesting, though? What did the Oilers finish with, like 2 fewer wins than the Flames?
It was...
Despite not winning for 2 months?
Yeah, it was a lot closer than it probably should have been.
Yeah.
I think Calgary, finished with 91?
I'm pulling it up right now. Calgary finished with 50 wins and the Oilers with 49, but the Flames had a bunch of overtime losses. So it went down, so they had 111 points to our 104.
Yeah, those the Bettman points carried them forward. Yeah. Anyway, back to you, Liam. So the Oilers finished second behind the Flams.
Second in division.
Flams are going to be terrible next year.
Yeah, the Flams are not going to be number one in the division this year. The current champions are plus 290 to win the division.
They're favored to win the division right now?
No, the Oilers are at plus 270.
Oh, okay.
So it's Edmonton plus 270, Vegas plus 275, Flames plus 290, LA plus 425, Canucks plus 1,000, Kraken plus 7,000, Sharks and Ducks plus 8,000. First question. Sharks and Ducks win in the division at plus 8,000.
Absolutely not.
Oh, you got to take it.
The money's high.
It's like when Kevin from The Office says, when you get plus 10,000 odds on anything, you take them.
Exactly. So, hey, didn't he? What was that one? What was the guy called who he bet that on? John Mullen. What was his name? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Because I'm pretty sure he won an Oscar, which is funny.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what it is. I can't remember now.
I don't remember.
Mollenkopf or something like that. I can't
John
remember.
Mellencamp?
Yeah.
Is that who it was?
That's who it was. He's like, when you get plus 10,000 odds on John Mellencamp to win an Oscar, you take it. Or nominated or something. And I'm pretty sure it happened. So congratulations, Kevin.
That's like every week when I bet a little something on Nicholas Latifi to win an F1 because he's plus 100,000. One of these days.
It's like when I was betting on Mick Schumacher.
Yeah.
It's now working. The little F1 talk. We'll save that.
We'll save that. Yeah. So back to the Pacific.
Okay, so who do we like to kind of go off there, like to win the division? Like,
so if the Oilers are plus 270, I'm already putting a couple of shekels down there.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice number.
As well, yeah.
I'm surprised at how tight the top is.
I'm surprised too, because I just don't understand how Vegas is in there in terms of like at least the sports books.
Like Vegas didn't get better this offseason. They had to trade away Max Pacioretty for nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for wishes and kisses. Like
the Flames are losing Tkachuk and Gaudreau, and they're plus 290. Like they should be a lot further away. The one that kind of intrigues me is LA at plus 425.
I thought that too, because they didn't add much, but they're just
Kevin Fiala.
Kevin Fiala, that's
a big
one. But other than that, like they're just a young team who's getting better. They were good against the Oilers last year. They're getting Drew Doughty back. Mm-hmm. Sean Walker's going to come back for them. I feel like they were missing one other forward maybe in the playoffs. Maybe I'm slipping my mind.
Victor Arvidsson.
There you go.
Awesome in the regular season.
There's 2 or 3 key players that are going to come back and contribute to the lineup massively. Their goaltending will be the biggest question mark, but I also think the 2 of them will still be good enough, to get a good job done. Like, I personally think it'll be Edmonton and LA competing for the division.
So yeah, I think so
if you're betting today, you've got Edmonton to win, LA number 2. Is that where you would put them?
That's what I would do, and then I would probably do Vegas, but also I would consider the Canucks.
The Canucks are now, plus 1,000 to win the division on PointsBet Canada.
But did they really get better this offseason? Like, let's look at the lineup thanks to our friends at Daily Faceoff. See, like they didn't add to their forward group besides Mikheyev, which is he's a $4.5 million ticket. Andre Kuzmenko, but like that's a total toss up, right? The back end they didn't really add anything at all. I mean, it's not terrible. Like Thatcher Demko could carry them.
You don't think they're a playoff team?
They could be.
I think our division, they're a massive playoff team.
Especially with
Calgary and Vegas falling off a bit, it's possible for sure. But to win the division, I think that's a long shot.
No. I don't think to win the division. I just think to finish third in the division.
Oh yeah, to make playoffs, to make the playoffs. Oh yeah, they could be contenders for that for sure.
I think once those odds come out at probably 12:01 when this podcast ends, might be something to look into. Just because also there's so many bad teams in this division. Like at the end of last season, I thought, you know what, Anaheim could probably compete next season for a playoff spot. And now it's not even going to be close.
Man, they can't even get to the goddamn salary floor.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Strome was that big offseason piece. Like,
and he got paid.
Yeah.
Vetrano, that's a nice little addition too.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
But they haven't done anything on their back end either.
And is John Gibson going? Like that still seems to be in the air. Like he keeps saying no to teams, but that seems weird to me. If a team doesn't want you, why would you want to stay?
Yeah.
You know, I guess the paycheck's pretty nice, but he's still going to get the same.
Yeah, you get the same paycheck no matter what.
Yeah.
Same thing though. They got to stay under. They got to get to the salary floor somehow, and Gibson's a pretty nice ticket there.
Yeah, like for me, I don't know. I'm not sold on Vetrano. Like he's good, but also he's played with really good players.
Yeah.
Like he was on that first line for New York, wasn't he, with Zibanejad and Kreider?
Yep. He spent some time up there in the playoffs.
Now he's with Strome, who has never been known to carry his own line.
No.
And Mason McTavish, who's played 9 games in the NHL.
Yeah.
And McTavish is good, but...
Yeah. So if you were to bet today, July 21st, on the top 3 teams in the Pacific, what do you got? What's your order?
Zach?
Yeah, I'll probably go Edmonton, LA, Vancouver, I think.
I'm going to go Edmonton, Vegas, LA.
I would go Edmonton. I'll go Edmonton, Vegas, LA as well.
We do call it Vegas for a reason.
Yeah. Vegas.
What's the next division we're going to look at, Liam?
Next division, we will stay in the Western Conference, where the Central Division has Colorado as the heavy favorites at minus 165.
That is a lot of juice.
Minnesota plus 400. St. Louis plus 650, Dallas plus 1,300, Nashville plus 1,700, Winnipeg plus 2,200, Arizona, wow, that's a massive number, 2,000, wow, 25.
20 plus 25,000.
Plus 25,000 and Chicago the same. Now, when you get those odds...
You got to
take them.
I'm looking at this. I think Colorado probably wins it. I'm not going to bet on it, though. I don't like minus 165. It's not sexy enough for me.
No, there's no fun in this division at all.
The one that's surprising, though, I guess, is the Nashville Predators at being plus 1,700 on PointsBet Canada, just because I think they're better than finishing 5th in the odds.
I think they're better than Dallas.
I agree.
I think something to consider for this division, though, is... 3 of those teams are in the Matthew Tkachuk sweepstakes. So if St. Louis gets Matthew Tkachuk, they can compete with with Colorado, right?
I mean, I thought they played Colorado really well in the playoffs.
I thought so too.
They're one of the only teams that got Colorado that actually beat Colorado in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they can get Matt Tkachuk and make the money work, that would be a significant boost. Obviously, we're speculating.
And then so you put him on that team. They get, who did they lose this summer? Husso? Is that the biggest one?
That's really about it. They didn't really lose a lot, I don't think.
No, they re-signed Robert Thomas. Re-signed, didn't they re-sign Jordan Kyrou as well? I can't remember. Either way, they have a good team. And you put Matthew Tkachuk, we're just looking at the lines here. You would imagine Tarasenko probably leaves if Tkachuk comes. I would assume, because apparently he still wants that trade, right?
Yeah, he's never rescinded that request.
Yeah, so then you put Matthew Tkachuk on the first line with Thomas and Buchnevich, and your second line, Saad, O'Reilly, and Kyrou. It's a pretty good team.
My big question mark is the goaltending. Like Binnington, he had a terrible year last year.
But was back to himself in the playoffs. Is that all he is? Is he a playoff goalie?
Could be.
Yeah. Which
just get there.
Yeah.
Just got to get there.
You don't have a backup. You have a guy named Joel Hofer there. I don't know who the hell that is. I'm not even sure that's a real person.
Portland Winterhawk, I believe.
Okay, apparently he is a real.
Shout out to you for knowing that.
Yeah, he played to the World Juniors.
It's a very Liam thing to know.
Yes.
He's actually good, but he's probably, I don't know if he's NHL good. And in Colorado, who are we looking at here? Minnesota?
Like Minnesota at plus 400, like that's not bad at all. Like they were 6 points back of Colorado for top place in the Central Division last year.
So they lost Fiala. What else did they lose? They lost Talbot, although they've got Fleury.
Did they lose anything else?
So they could be in the mix, I guess. I don't see them being in Colorado personally. I wouldn't bet on them to be Colorado, I guess.
No, I wouldn't bet on anybody in that division at all. But I mean, I think Minnesota at plus 400.
Minnesota. So Colorado's goaltending is now Gorgiev and Francouz, who I would say are two unproven goalies. They lost. They're probably going to lose Kadri, who's what was he, an 80, 90 point guy?
Yeah,
whatever he was.
guy.
So now your second line centerman is JT Comfort with Valery Nichushkin, who's had one good season in the NHL and got paid like he's had 20. Terry Lehkonen. I don't know. I don't think like that. Even that third line isn't massively strong.
They lost Burakovsky too, and he was a big player for them.
And then the blue line is obviously sick, but I don't know. I still think there's a lot of question marks in Colorado. Not will they be a good team? Obviously, they're going to be a cup contender, but I don't know if they're minus 165 to plus 400.
It's a little surprising.
Yeah.
Like maybe take that down to even money, but like...
Yeah, that's what I would think too. Like they're easily the favorites in any division to win. What was Edmonton? Plus 270? Which is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Considering how many good teams are in this division? Like there's probably 6. Like Winnipeg could be good this year.
Probably not though. Fuck you, Winnipeg.
Probably not. Probably not. But
What do you think about that? What do you think about that argument, Liam?
I think that's a good one.
Thank you.
Big F you to Winnipeg. Although they did hire Brad Lauer today. Did you guys see that?
I did not.
Edmonton Oil Kings head coach is coach in Winnipeg now.
That sounds like content.
So nice job, Brad.
Yep. Shout out to the Brads out there.
I actually might put a little futures bet on St. Louis here. Just anticipating that they get Tkachuk. They have a strong team. Torrey Krug is coming back. He missed a lot of last season, didn't he?
I think so.
Like, that's a good... I don't know. I feel like plus 650 for a team that...
Yeah, you might be convincing me on this one.
Like, I think that could be something. Like, again, like, Tarasenko and Tkachuk aren't same players, but they put up similar point totals. So
if you're going to chase the juice in this division, I think that I would rather do St. Louis over Minnesota.
I would too, because I think Minnesota is going to be intriguing in the sense of they don't have Fiala anymore. Do they have they're relying on younger guys to come through for them because they had to get rid of Parise and Suda. So I think I would go St. Louis. I do think Colorado will probably win the division, but just to chase the juice, St. Louis would be where I put my money.
Next up,
we will move out east to, let's go Atlantic. There was quite a busy offseason in the Atlantic. Ottawa and Detroit got significantly better. Montreal had the first overall pick, so there's a bit of hype there. So the favorites are the Toronto Maple Leafs at plus 195.
Shocker.
Florida plus 235. Tampa Bay at plus 255. The Boston Bruins at plus 850. Ottawa at plus 2,500. Same with Detroit. Buffalo plus 6. What are the numbers again? 6,000. There you go. And Montreal at plus 15,000.
There you go.
Yeah, English isn't my first language. Sorry.
You only spawned it, but okay.
Toronto.
I don't know that I like this division either.
As a favorites?
Yeah, I might be tempted to do a little something on Tampa because I would never count them out with the depth of the lineup, generally speaking, plus Vasilevsky and net. Toronto, they've got major questions in net for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Give me all the Ottawa at plus 2,500
to win the division. There's no way.
Not actually, but like they're a team that could make some noise. Like they really could be disruptive in that division.
They could be disruptive. I just don't see them winning it at all. So if you're going to bet on this, what would you do?
I would go Florida. I think Florida is the new San Jose Sharks. They're just going to tear up the regular season every single year, get to the playoffs, and it's an absolute choke fest.
Interesting.
I think they might even be a good president's pick again because they won it last year, didn't they? Yeah, like I just can see that coming from them over and over and over again. There's so much firepower to score all these goals, but when you get to the playoffs, they just can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And I just see Florida being that team. And At plus 235 for a team that won it last year, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think I can get behind that. I'm not betting Toronto at plus 195. That feels like some bias towards the Toronto market there. Yeah, I think it's between Florida and Tampa, and at plus 235 and plus 255. Like, I don't mind those numbers at all. Boston at plus 850, not touching that one. They're going to have a really tough first 4 months.
Yeah, because half the blue line's out. Like,
that's why I think Ottawa could be disruptive. They could very well slip into a wild card spot in that Eastern Conference. I mean, you got to be a 100-point plus team to do it. And I mean, you look at the way that Ottawa retooled their top six this year. They brought in DeBrincat. They brought in Giroux. They've got a legitimate top 9 NHL group there. Their back end is suspect, which is kind of their biggest issue, as is kind of the goaltending. They got Dadbot there. Actually, I like Dadbot.
Goaltending's probably better than Toronto.
Yeah.
Is it not? Like Forsberg and...
Or at least equal.
Yeah, I would say... Yeah.
I would say at least equal.
Whenever the odds come out on it, I'm betting on Ottawa to be a playoff team this year. I'm going to take a swing on it because I bet you it's going to be pretty juicy odds. I wouldn't be surprised if they're up in that Boston like plus 850 range to just make the playoffs.
Well, right now they're not. Well, just based off these odds, I would assume, they're not even a top 4 team in their own division. Like, the Boston thing with the injuries is something to consider for this division. Like you said, like McAvoy's out till Christmas.
Yeah.
Was it Mike Riley, one of them, and Grisslick were the other 2 that were out? So there's 3 of the 6 defensemen they have to ice every night out of the lineup. They haven't re-signed Patrice Bergeron yet. David Krejci, who knows?
And like, is he going to be the answer anyway?
Exactly. Like, you're relying on 2 guys who are 35 plus. One guy who didn't even play in the league last year.
Mm-hmm. Hey, they got Taylor Hall though.
Hey, they do have Taylor Hall. That's a good point. Maybe I should rethink all that.
But I mean, even still,
Pavel
Zacha, I like that. He'll play on the third line once Bergeron.
You just like him because he's got your name in his last name.
Kind of, yeah. And it's spelled properly too, ZACH. You always like to see that.
Yeah, happy about that.
But their back end, it's in shambles. Lindholm, McAvoy, Grisslick, I'm pretty sure all 3 of those guys are injured, right?
Lindholm finished the year injured at least.
Yeah, he finished the year injured. McAvoy, he's definitely out for a while.
Who is their first line centerman? I don't know who that is.
Jack Studnicka. He's like their 4th liner last year.
He played in the NHL before?
Oh, yeah. He's played some games for sure, but like...
Wow. So is this lineup just the projected one, right?
Yeah, this is projected. Thanks to our friends at dailyfaceoff.com.
So how is Charlie McAvoy now projected to be the first line centerman, but they have Jack, whatever his name is, and Zach Laing is the second line centerman?
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. I'm pretty happy.
Charlie McAvoy on the third line with Trent Frederick and Craig Smith.
Craig Smith is such a generic name.
Those aren't real people.
You could go find a million Craig Smiths in the phone book.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. That Boston team's just going to be a tire fire. I'm staying away from them.
So, Zach kind of answered this question already, I suppose, but we don't have the odds for this, but I'm just curious. So, like I said off the top, like the Atlantic was a very busy division.
Yep.
Buffalo didn't do a ton, but
they're also Buffalo.
Yeah. They were much better at the end of last season, I found, after they traded Eichel.
Yeah, getting the Eichel stink off them.
Montreal, I don't think Montreal has got really better at all this year. Like, I think Kirby Dach has a lot of question marks around him still. Plus, he's only 21. Dadonov, like, yeah, he's fine, but I just don't think that team is as good as they're being made out to be. If Carey Price comes back, then I think you have to have them in the conversation, but who knows?
They're just so weak on the back end. They have nothing there. Michael Matheson and David Savard are their top pairing.
Who's going to play the power play for them?
Weidman? Chris Weidman.
Wow.
Well, actually, no, that's not true. It'll be Tyson Barrie, but I digress.
So, I don't think Montreal has a chance, just to narrow this down. So, out of Ottawa, Detroit, and Buffalo, which one of those teams do you see sneaking into a wild card spot? You can obviously pick 2 of them if you want.
I mean, I think Detroit's done a pretty good job this offseason too. They brought in Ville Husso in net. Who else did they bring in here as I play? Andrew Kopp, David Perron, Dominic Kubalik up front. They've really revamped their entire roster.
Ben Sherratt, Mata, like they're not elite. But
they're good
NHL players, which is what this
Billy
team has
Husso,
missed.
Nedeljkovic too. Like that's actually a pretty good roster. Like all things considering, I didn't realize. I mean, I knew, but I kind of forgot about the Kopp and Perron signings. That really rounds out that top six. And Sherratt, did they overpay? Yes, absolutely. But they kind of wanted to become a harder NHL team, right? They wanted to be harder to play against, and Sherratt's going to do that. Ole Mata, he's a question mark. Simon Edvinsson, I'm pretty sure he's a rookie they drafted a few years ago.
I believe he was a 4th or 6th overall pick.
They could sneak in. They could sneak in for sure. But I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm going to be big on the Ottawa train this year, I think.
I think something to consider for Detroit, too, is Tyler Bertuzzi is going to be able to play in Canada this year. So they're not going to miss arguably a top 3 player on the team for what did he miss? 20 games last season because of that?
Yeah.
I don't know how much of an effect that's going to make, but it's going to benefit them.
Yeah, it won't hurt him.
It won't hurt him.
Right?
Yeah, it hurt him more last season when he wasn't playing.
Also, consider this, Liam. The 20th anniversary of 8 Mile in 2022. So just putting that out there.
Yeah,
there you go. Great movie.
Yeah.
Great. So that could be a boost. You never know.
Yeah. Maybe they'll have Eminem at every game.
You never know where you draw inspiration from. I think that's what's important here.
Maybe that'll be big for my Detroit Lions too.
Yeah.
We do need that boost.
Yep.
Big time.
Yep.
Actually, just a little fun thing that I'm going to talk about. So the Zone got rid of all the Premier League rights for soccer. So that's why me and my dad mostly had it, and obviously NFL.
Does it hurt you to call it soccer?
It does feel weird sometimes, but I'm bilingual.
I appreciate that. Go ahead.
So we were going to cancel it. And then we both realized that both our football teams suck because he cheers for Seattle and I cheer for Detroit, and they're just never on the TV. So we have to pay that much money just to watch our teams lose 18 games a season. But either way, 17. Whatever.
That's why I always love at the beginning of the NFL season when Red Zone's on free preview.
Yes, that is nice.
Love that.
7 hours of commercial-free football starts now.
Yeah. And it just shows you the best parts, too. Love that channel. Love that.
Anyway, Tyler Bertuzzi, how many games did he miss, Zach? I can't
I'm not very good at math, but he played in 68 games.
So he missed 14.
Do the whole reverse number thing 14? On that. I don't know. Something like that.
That sounds right.
Minus 10, 72, minus 4.
Carry the 1.
Carry the 1.
Yep.
Plus 6, minus 8.
Add that in.
Square the 68 times
add
by
in pi.
2. 68. Yep.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. 14.
Yeah.
But he's 30 goals, 32 assists, 62 points.
He's good.
Yeah, he's good.
He's quiet. Do you remember when he was at the All-Star game a few years ago and he's like, I don't deserve to be here.
It's like, why am I
here? Last division, Liam.
Sorry, we're picking Detroit to be the sneak team? That would be my sneak team over Ottawa.
Mine's Ottawa.
Well, again, based on 8 Mile's 20th anniversary, I would go with Detroit as well.
Okay.
Respect.
Yeah. Sounds good. So, to round this out...
They've got one shot.
Do not miss it.
Yeah.
Sees everything you want to be.
Anybody called Stan on Detroit?
Yeah.
Would you capture?
Yep.
Or just let it slip?
Am I going to have to beatbox again? Okay, so quickly, who do we see as making the playoffs in the Atlantic? And sorry, who were our picks to win the Atlantic too? Did we say? I said Florida.
I'd say Tampa.
I'm on Florida.
Okay, sounds good. So let's move on to the Metropolitan Division, which is another division which will be very competitive, I think, again.
I agree.
Carolina, the favorites, plus 185. Pittsburgh, 310. New York Rangers at plus 325. New York Islanders at plus 650. Washington Capitals plus 850. New Jersey Devils plus 4,000. Philadelphia plus 5,000. And the Columbus Johnny Gaudreau Blue Jackets plus 5,000 to finish last in the division.
The Johnny Ohios.
The Johnny Ohios.
What the... I still don't understand that move.
It's hilarious. I just can't stop. I've been relentless to my buddies in Calgary, and I will not stop for a very long time. I've dealt with so much shit from them over the years, having grown up and lived in Calgary pretty much my entire life. I will not stop. Mm-hmm. But anyways, back to the odds. Carolina plus 185. I mean, you can't go wrong. They brought in Max Pacioretty for free, for God's sake.
Yep.
Like, they're deep. They are a good team, very well coached. Brett Burns and Jacob Slavin on the back end. Mm-hmm. That might be one of the best pairings in the entire NHL this year. I don't know how you can bet on any team to win that division outside of Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina's my pick too. If I had to pick an outside chance, though, I would probably go with the Rangers.
Yeah, Shesterkin, man.
Shesterkin there. Also, importantly, it's the 28th anniversary of Ghostbusters 1, which took place in New York. I think that's important.
Look at you with your movie anniversaries. Shit.
Well, as we were looking up bets, we were just looking up anniversaries of movies.
Yes, I was.
The Rangers, they didn't really do much. They swapped out Ryan Strome for Vincent Trocheck. No additions on their back end. Of course, they got Shesterkin in net. Yaroslav Halak to back him up. I would expect Shesterkin to play 70 games this year.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
I wouldn't be surprised if he played 82, to be honest.
You look at the way that guys like Lafreniere and Capo Caco really blew up in the playoffs for them. I mean, they had great playoff runs. And I think we're finally starting to see Lafreniere kind of find his NHL legs here. Former first overall pick. He was a highly touted prospect. He's kind of sucked up till this point. I think the Rangers at plus 325, there's pretty good value there, honestly.
Is there a team in that top 5 range, let's say? So we'll say Carolina, Pittsburgh, Rangers, Islanders, Washington. Is there a team that you 100% will not put anything on?
New York Islanders.
Yeah, I don't think I would bet on the Islanders either.
No, I would bet on the Capitals. They would probably be the 4th team out of that group I would bet on.
I'm an Ovi guy.
I think they have a good team. They've got a lot of talent. They're an older group, and obviously if Backstrom isn't going to play, and it looks like he isn't going to play,
that hurts.
But they still have a lot of good players. Like they improved in goal with Darcy Kemper by not tampering. And
no.
I'm going to go with the Rangers, but I also don't mind the Penguins to win the division. I just have a weird feeling, a revenge tour's the wrong word because they didn't do anything to earn any revenge.
Well, the reality, though, I think that you're getting at maybe is that if they had Tristan Jarry in the playoffs, they probably beat the Rangers.
If they have Crosby.
Yeah, Crosby was out too.
Like they missed a lot of guys in the playoffs. They also got that Ty Smith kid from the Devils.
I like that guy.
He was a 5th overall pick. Like I think he has a ton of upside. Yeah. Jeff Petrie there as well. Like I said, they're an older group, but I think they kind of give me like old New Jersey Devil vibes in a way.
Like the early 2000s teams.
Yeah, like where they're just like, we don't give a shit what anybody thinks about us. We're just going to run it back until the wheels fall off, basically, which is what they've done because the wheels will fall off because they're all 50. Mm-hmm. But I don't mind them at plus 310. I am surprised that they're so high up the board because I thought the Rangers were so close to winning the division last season.
I mean, it makes sense to me, honestly, because you bring back Gino, you bring back Letang. On the back end, you got 3 new bodies, Jeff Petrie, Ty Smith, and Jan Ruda. Jan Ruda might be one of the sneakiest signings.
He's a good player.
Yeah, it's a sneaky good pick.
He played top pairing minutes with Tampa last year, and he was very good doing so.
Yeah.
And right now, DFO's got him projected on the 3rd line. I mean, that's some pretty good stuff right there, honestly. I can see it, but really there's no difference between Pittsburgh and the Rangers. 310 to 325. They're pretty similar, right?
One thing with the Penguins, I guess, now is because they signed Kasperi Kapanen, they do have to move out of contract, which I believe will be is it O'Connor? Yeah. Can you scroll down to the defense? I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was Marcus Peterson. Pedersen?
Pedersen? I don't know.
Mr. P. It'll be one of those two, but I mean, like, you lose one of those guys, you add in a lesser contract. Like, I don't think it's a massive deal for them. So I would go Pittsburgh. I can't believe the Islanders are so high. Like, have they made a sign-in this offseason?
I don't.
I couldn't tell you.
Can't think of one.
I actually don't think they have.
I couldn't tell you of one
thing.
They've been in on a lot of guys, but
what they're gonna do though is like 2 days before training camp, there's going to be like 27 signings, and they're going to sign like some veteran guys for like league minimum because that's just how they do it. I have no idea, but they'll find them.
Maybe Chris Russell will go there, the Cowboy.
Oh, that would actually make a ton of sense.
Put out my tribute video.
I still think the Cowboy comes back here.
Romanov,
that's right. That was the one move they did.
Who, when that trade happened, was in Russia and couldn't leave.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm sure Eric Engels tweeted something along those lines. So we'll see about that. And that's a guy who's had question marks a lot. Like, apparently Islanders fans were not happy about that pick. They would have rather just drafted a player.
Yeah.
Or get Kirby Doc for themselves, one of the two. So, yeah, I think my pick is the Penguins. Columbus at plus 5,000. Obviously, they're not going to win the division. But I think that's a bit disrespectful for the roster they have. They have some good talent. They've got to sign Patrick Laine. This, what's it, Roslovsky?
Jack Roslovic.
Yeah. He's
Roslovsky?
Cole Sillinger's a good player. Gaudreau, obviously.
Their second line was good this year. Bjorkstrand.
This is why I don't watch Columbus. I cannot say any of the players' names.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
All name squad. Actually, didn't Luke Beldel-Belouz go to them? Of course. Anyway, I think they're good.
I think they'll be okay.
I think if they made the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like, Merslurkins is a good goalie, too. They have, like, 6 or 7 good players.
I can't see them beating, unless they find a wild card spot, maybe. I just can't see them beating teams ahead of them at all in their division.
The East is so deep. You have to be a 100-point team to make the playoffs. And that's not an easy thing to do.
So who do you think are the guaranteed playoff teams in the East?
Toronto, Carolina, New York Rangers.
Yeah. Tampa. Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I would put Pittsburgh in there.
And then I think the rest of it's a bit of a
So there could be 3 up for grabs there.
Yeah, because Boston's injured. Washington, without Backstrom, we don't really know what they'll look like. I think they'll probably will. So maybe we'll say they are too. So there's 6. Islanders have done nothing. And then the rest of them are all just wild cards. I think it's 2 spots.
Columbus needs a 20-point jump to make the playoffs. That's pretty significant in the toughest division in the league.
They need a 20-point jump. Okay, let's just say they need a 10-point jump and you say Washington and Boston lose 10 points each.
It's possible, yeah.
Like, yeah. I think it's a good way to balance it out a little bit. Like, they didn't get better, the Islanders.
No.
Buffalo, Detroit, they have to now jump Columbus. Like, Columbus added and got better, where the other teams, like, they added 1 player and got better. And then the other teams had to add like 4 or 5 players to get better.
One thing that I'm interested in with Columbus this year is, what does Johnny Gaudreau look like in Columbus relative to what he was last year? He's not on the same line. No. You know what I mean? That was one of the best lines in hockey that he was on last year outside of the playoffs.
3 100-point players.
So what does he look like playing alongside Roslovic and Patrick Laine? That's a good line, but like, is it as good as Lindholm, Tkachuk? I don't know.
I don't think it is.
No, I don't think so either.
But I think you could argue that Laine is probably the best pure goal scorer he's played with, right?
Probably. Well, when he's on his game.
When he's on his game, yeah. Like, so if you get Laine like that,
like Laine could legitimately score 50 goals this year with Gaudreau.
With Gaudreau, yeah,
he could, sure,
very possible.
And last year he had 26 and 56.
Like, Gaudreau's strength has always been in the fact that he's a really good setup man, right? Like, that could be a big top line.
Is Patrick Laine going to be there though? He needs a contract. Yeah, it's not going to be cheap.
I think he'll do the QO. I think he'll play on his QO, $7.5 million. Problem is that they can't re-sign him until January 1st. So could get a little scary there, but I think it makes a ton of sense for him to play on that, to be honest.
But if you get to January 1st and you're Patrick Laine and you're like, man, I have 25 goals already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you want to sign?
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense.
8-year ticket.
Yeah.
Unless he gets flipped for Matthew Tkachuk, and then Tkachuk and Gaudreau are together with CBJ.
That could be big. Or maybe Austin Matthews wants to move closer to home, so he goes to Columbus.
A tad closer.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the awards.
Da, 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 da.
Tyler mentioned this a few weeks ago. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he thought, I believe McDavid would be around a plus 100 and like to 200, somewhere in that range. Do you remember?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. To win the Hart. So Connor McDavid is coming in at plus 300 to win the Hart.
Hammer it.
Austin Matthews is second, the current holder of it, at plus 550.
Connor's not losing 2 in a row.
Leon Draisaitl plus 800. Nathan McKinnon at plus 900. And Mikko Rantanen at plus 1,800.
Okay, well, I will not be betting on Mikko Rantanen.
You also got Kellen Makar plus 1,200 mixed in there.
See, I would way rather do Makar than Mikko Rantanen.
Oh, yeah, Makar's, for some reason, Makar's way down this list.
Yeah, they got it all jankied up here. But Makar plus 1,200, I am probably going to be putting a pretty good chunk of change on that one. Like, he had an incredible year last year. The way he broke out in the playoffs, like, the voters are not going to forget how good he was in the playoffs. And he's obviously a tremendous player. there's going to be a lot more attention this year on a guy or on a team like Colorado, having won the Cup last year. I think Cale Makar plus 1,200 is the best value spot on this board.
I think there's three guys who I would look at to win. McDavid and Matthews and Makar. Anybody else, I honestly wouldn't even consider.
I can see that.
Because, so you can put Draisaitl and McDavid in the same category if you want. Like, if they both play and they both put up 100 points, McDavid's winning.
Yeah.
If McDavid doesn't play, Draisaitl, I think, quickly becomes a heavy favorite.
Well, I think we know both of them will hit 100 points. Yeah. I don't think that's out of the question.
And McDavid's going to get the favor of it every time.
Yeah.
Matthews is probably going to score 50 this year. He's just going to be in the conversation. But then outside of that, like, McKinnon's never been a Hart finalist. I'm 90% sure of that. He's never won.
So either.
Mikko Rantanen, like,
I don't even know why he's on the list.
Kapanen, Kaprizov, sorry, could get up there just because you lose Fiala. There's a storyline of like you lose Fiala, the team's a lot weaker, but you still put up 100 points.
Yep.
But again, like, isn't that just what Huberdeau and Gaudreau did last year, and neither of them were finalists?
Yeah.
Like,
The way I look at it, Connor, what did he finish last year in the voting?
second.
I don't think it happens again.
No.
I don't think he looks at, I wouldn't say he takes it personally, but he's so competitive of a person, I probably would guess he takes it personally. I'm not betting against him.
I'm with you. I don't even think he needs to take it personally. I just think he's good enough to put up 130 points if he wanted to, and he's proved consistently that he can just do that, where Matthews is obviously an elite player and one of the best goal scorers ever.
Sure.
But he's going to have to probably score 60 again
Yeah.
to beat McDavid.
Yeah.
And like at some point, I also wouldn't be surprised if Connor gets a little bit more selfish and he himself puts up 50.
He's going to do it eventually.
He had, what's his high, 41 or something like that?
I thought it was 44, but 41 seems right.
I don't remember.
44 this year.
Yeah, okay.
He's put up 41 twice.
So he's 44 as his career high. He's one weekend heater away from putting up 50.
If McDavid had put up 128, which I believe was the record, right? Do you think he would have won the Hart, or do you think Matthews' 60 goals is more impressive?
I think the 60 goals is just
tough.
like
It's a tough beat.
he
I
was
think so too.
filling the net.
I couldn't believe how many people were pissed off that McDavid didn't win the Hart. I thought it was an absolute lock that Matthews was winning.
Yeah.
Nobody was more upset than Jay because he bet heavily against everybody other than Matthews.
Like Matthews is going to have to score 60 again. But again, on this list, is there anybody outside of those three that you think has a chance? Like,
Yeah, there's one other name.
Is it Mikko Rantanen?
Igor Shesterkin at plus 2,000.
You think so?
He was a finalist. He was a top 3 guy. His game fell off a little bit down the stretch last year. But let's talk realistically. If, like, when we were talking about the Rangers earlier, if Shesterkin plays 70 games this year, that's a huge number for a goaltender to play.
That is
Say
big.
he wins 45 games, right? That's a really impressive number. On the length and longevity of it alone, I think he has a legitimate case. He was a top 3 finalist this year. Like there was a lot of talk about him winning the Hart this year. I think he's a guy that could do it. Maybe.
I think would probably be in my 5, but I think it's more difficult for him to be considered because he would have to do something that crazy again.
Like would I put money on him for the Vezina? No question. But the Hart is just, it's a tougher one for a goalie.
Plus 350. Shesterkin's the favorite.
Should we move on to the Vezina?
Yeah.
As Zach just said, Vezina is Shesterkin plus 350, Vasilevsky plus 400, Saros plus 800, and Sorokin plus 1,000.
Our boy Jack Campbell plus 3,000 for what it's worth.
Hey, a little sprinkle?
Won't mind it.
To me, like my first thoughts looking at this for the first time, I would do a dabble on Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, and Saros.
The numbers are really good on all 3 of them.
Yeah.
They're really nice.
It's juicy. Plus 350 for Shesterkin, 400 for Vasilevsky, and 800 for Saros.
What about, where do you go? What if Carey Price plays in Montreal and make the playoffs? He is plus 3,300. I know that's a massive long shot, but he's
also Carey Price.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that's a really good number. The other one I noted was Thatcher Demko at plus 2,000. if Vancouver get dragged to the playoff, because wasn't he pretty close to being the finalist last year?
He had a really good year.
Didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, he had
barely
a really
sniffed.
good year.
I think those are my long shot is Price, and my other long shot would be Demko.
I refuse to bet on Demko as a direct shot against David Quadrelli.
That's fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm out on Demko 2-0.
Yep.
I'm in on Campbell though, plus 3,000.
Why not?
I mean,
A couple of nickels.
you're playing in front of a really good team.
You empty your jeans out a little bit. See what happens.
Ottinger, plus 1,800.
I just don't think Dallas is that good.
Yeah. But it's a. But
I know it's the Vezina and I know it's Ottinger, but I think he's also going to need help from the team around him, and I just don't know that Dallas is going to provide it.
Yeah, probably.
That's fair. What did they even do this summer? The owner called out Ben and Sagan again. That was nice of him.
They're going to lose what's his pickle there on the back end.
What's his pickle?
Replaced him with Colin Miller.
Got Mason Marchment on the third line. That'll be an interesting one to follow.
That's
honestly.
a good one. It's interesting that they got Marchment because Carolina was in on him. Reports were Carolina had signed him.
Yeah.
So if Carolina signed Marchment, they don't get Price. But I wonder if it was the case of they had Marchment right there and then they turned down Marchment because they knew Pacioretty. Oh, that's a Price. Pacioretty was going to come through.
Yeah, it could be.
I wonder if that was the way it kind of went. Let's have a look at one more trophy. Well, we'll do the Rocket really quickly. Matthews is plus 300. Draisaitl 550. Ovechkin plus 1,200. McDavid plus 1,400.
See, I would put an outside little dabble on Ovi.
One guy I like is Jason Robertson.
Yeah, he's good.
2,000.
Yeah, he's good.
Didn't he have 40 goals last year?
Yep. Something like that.
You know, it's kind of... he did it on a Dallas team that was one line. He was on that line, but I think that's a good little spot. There's a couple of guys here, like even Kyle Connor, 2,200. Like, those guys score a lot of goals.
McDavid at plus 1,200 is...
Yeah, that's good value.
Like if he goes on a shooter and shoots, or if he goes on a heater and shoots like 18 or 20% next year, which is totally possible, like that's enough to get you 55, 60 goals. Like that's enough to win the trophy. And all it takes is one outlier season. I mean, look at Draisaitl in his 50-goal season the other year. I mean, Draisaitl's a little bit of a unicorn because he's one of the few players. Like, he's got a career shooting average of 17.6%. That's astronomical. 2018-19 when Draisaitl won the... no, he hasn't won the Rocket Richard. His Hart Trophy season, though, he had 110 points.
Yeah,
he shot 19.1%. His 50-goal season, he shot 21%. McDavid shoots 20%. That's a Rocket Richard caliber season, which is possible. He's talented enough to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, last award. Norris. Obviously, Cale McCarr's the favorite.
Yeah,
plus
he's
175.
Yeah.
Yossi 600. Hedman 750. McAvoy plus 1,500. He's not even going to play half the season. Adam Fox plus 1,000.
Yeah, I think that's a Cale Makar award for the foreseeable future.
Do we need to go deep into this one? Like Yossi's going to push him, but
Hedman will push. Long shot, Moritz Seider plus 2,000. That'd be my long shot. He was great last year as a rookie.
I like that pick.
Right? Will he win it? No. But I mean, plus 2,000, that's a pretty good number for a guy who was one of the best players in the entire league last year. Didn't he win the Calder?
I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that. Yeah, you did win the Calder.
There was I remember on the rundown, or maybe it was a live show, they spoke about like Seider potentially winning the Norris this season.
Yeah, he was that fucking good this year.
So something to consider for him. We're definitely over time.
Absolutely.
I look at that and it says 43 and we usually do about 30. So we'll quickly do F1.
Yeah.
And then we'll save the rest for next week. So you have to come back.
Have to. That's what we call a teaser, a cliffhanger.
Yes.
In the
Yeah, I love a little teaser.
So the French Grand Prix is this weekend. We didn't have a race last weekend, but the week before was the Austrian Grand Prix, which is the home is Red Bull. People were not happy with the orange flares apparently in the stands, and now there's a conversation about banning them because nobody can see the race.
Well, I thought that was interesting because right when the race started, all those flares went off, and also that smoke cleared across the track, and the cars are whipping through it.
Yes.
And at those speeds, I can't imagine that the old insurance lawyers were very happy about it.
And only a week before we saw, what's his name? Zoo? Is that how you say his name? Go crashing into literally
insane
the fans
crash.
with no smoke.
Yep.
So we're lucky that didn't happen again. Max Verstappen is the favorite. Is that shocking?
No.
Let me pull up the odds. For some reason, I don't have them up right here. I got a bunch wrote down.
I've got some qualifying head-to-heads that I want to throw it your way also, Liam.
Okay, I got the odds up here quickly.
All right, go for it.
So, what the heck? Maybe I don't. Okay, there we go. Oh, you do your odds.
All right, so how about this a little qualifying odds? A head-to-head amongst teammates. I always like these ones.
And this is just qualifying, sorry?
This is just qualifying we're looking at right now. If you're looking at Max Verstappen, the odds versus Sergio Perez, not very fun. He's minus 667. But if you think Checo can beat Verstappen, it's 375 in qualifying.
I think he's done that once this season.
Our boy Daniel Ricciardo versus Lando Norris, plus 300 to beat Lando Norris.
Well, that ain't happening.
Doesn't seem like it will.
No.
How about, can I interest you in a Nicholas Latifi beating Alex Albon, plus 375?
Maybe. Albon's been quiet. Like, Latifi's obviously not good, but Albon has not been doing anything recently.
Here's an interesting one for you.
Okay.
We're talking qualifying head-to-head amongst teammates here. Mick Schumacher, plus 140 to beat Kevin Magnussen.
I would take
I have already bet on that.
Yes, that was one I would do. That's, Mick's back-to-back races of making it to Q3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that.
If you're a fan of Team Ferrari, Carlos Sainz has actually been doing quite well of late.
He was unlucky last week or 2 weeks ago.
He was. He's plus 500 to beat Charles Leclerc in qualifying.
Interesting. I guess Leclerc is Mr. Saturday.
He is Mr. Saturday.
Which is not the name you want when you're trying to go for a championship.
No. Although he did win the last race, I suppose.
Yeah. He's on a bit of a cold streak, though.
Yeah.
Ferrari as a whole is just...
Well, the DNFs, you just like...
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So, of those, and if you're looking at Mercedes, it's even... Hamilton versus Russell is minus 118 on each side, so there's no fun there. So to me...
Who would you take, though?
Hamilton's kind of picking it up again.
He's one of my bets for the thing, which we'll get into, but I would go Hamilton on that. But sorry, go ahead.
The odds aren't very sexy to me.
No.
I just want to do it. Of these, the head-to-heads that I read to you, I think Mick Schumacher over Kevin Magnussen. I've already put a couple of dollars down on that. I think that one's a decent bet.
That's the one I would do. You know what? Just to get it juicy, I might even mix him and Hamilton.
I don't hate that.
Yeah.
I don't hate that at all.
Just to get that moving a little bit. George has been struggling a little bit.
Yeah, George has been struggling.
So I finally got the odds up here for the winners. Verstappen plus 110, Leclerc plus 370, Hamilton plus 850. What a massive gap.
Yeah, it is. Do you find that, so this is my first season of F1 as a fan. Do you find it at all annoying that it's really 2 or 3 teams that have a chance to win and then there's everybody else?
I think you got to look at it in the sense of like there's just multiple things teams are trying to accomplish.
Yes.
Like I think that's just the kind of the way I've put it in my mind is, yes, Alpine isn't going to win this race, isn't going to win a championship or anything. However, they're winning the mid pack or whatever they call it, midfield.
Yeah.
Over like AlphaTauri and even McLaren isn't doing great. They're doing a little bit better recently, I suppose, but. Yeah, it's a little weird, but I like how out of the 3 teams, all 6 races are very competitive.
Yes, that's true.
If any of those 6 won a race, I would not be shocked.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I don't think it's as bad as it's being made out to be. I think it's actually a lot better than it usually is, where it's just like Hamilton racing away, and that's kind of it, because that's what it was for like 7 straight years or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say on that.
So what do you got for some odds? What are you looking at? Like Verstappen, I mean, plus money for Verstappen to win. I have a hard time betting against it.
Me too. And he won the last one. He won last year. In 2021, he won the race.
And then the last race, I mean, 2 weeks ago, he finished it with a fucking piece of car in his car. So like,
it was an AlphaTauri. And I made a nice little joke of that's why he was so slow. He was driving an AlphaTauri all day.
What else are you looking at?
Hamilton on the podium. Plus 110.
Ooh.
3 straight podiums. He's finished 3rd in all 3. France, he's done pretty well. So he finished 2nd in 2021. There wasn't one in 2020 because of COVID. But in 2018, and 2019, he won. So he has a good history. The car's obviously not what it was, but it's getting better, clearly improving.
Yeah, they're figuring it out.
I even think the week before, 3 straight podiums, he was 4th. So I think that's a good bet. Car's getting better. And I looked at the 2 French races.
Go on.
Ocon and Pierre Gasly.
Yeah.
So Ocon to finish in the top 6 is plus 185. I think out of all the midfield races, Ocon is probably the best right now. Just based off factoring in the car and the racer, I think he's probably ahead of everybody.
Gasly's caused a little hijinks recently.
A little what?
A little hijinks.
Yes.
A couple of questionable maneuvers.
Yes, so especially one that tried to hit the hole that wasn't there.
Yep.
Yeah, that was big for him.
Yep. Can't do that.
It's the only reason we knew he was in the race.
Yep. It's not a great idea either.
So, yeah, I have Ocon plus 165. He's finished in the top 6, 2 of the last 3 races. So I like that one in his home Grand Prix. They usually try and step up a little bit and perform. And then Pierre Gasly, I have plus 160. So in his 2 previous races in France, finished 7th in 2021 and 10th in 2019. Now, he's struggled a lot recently. Like, he finished 5th at the Belgian Grand Prix, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and then hasn't done anything of relevance since, and I think it's 3 or 4 races in a row. So I would hit the Ocon one over the Gasly, but I don't mind the Gasly. And then I got to go back to my boy, Mick Schumacher.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Top 10 plus 105. There's not a ton of juice, but back-to-back races, he's feeling it. He's calling out his own teammate for being faster than him.
Fuck yeah.
So maybe you can put in a little Mick Schumacher qualifying and parlay it with his top 10 finish.
The only other bet I have before qualifying or anything is set so far, and the odds aren't great on it. I would call this my easy money bet, is greatest all-time teammate, Valtteri Bottas.
Ah, yes.
Minus 143 to finish top 10.
He's been quiet. I haven't heard him a lot recently, actually.
Yeah. But he always he seems to kind of just slip into the top 10 consistently.
Yeah. Like, well, last week he was 11th. Yeah, but like he's pretty consistent all year long. 7th in Canada, 11th again. Like he's right around.
He's right there.
So
that's kind of my easy money, lower odd.
And what did you say that was, sir?
Minus 143.
Yeah, I like that. You can follow
a little dabble.
Something if you want to.
Sure.
But yeah, so to round it out, your pick, you'd go with Verstappen to win the whole thing.
Initially, I mean, it's such a boring bet.
Yeah.
But like, I have a hard time betting against him. When the guy finishes the race, for the most part, he wins.
Yeah, pretty much. I think there's only been 3 races this year where he hasn't done that.
And the Red Bull car is just performing really well for them.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time betting against him.
I like that. I think Max is a good one. Just to go on an outside one, I don't hate hitting Perez or even Sainz. They've both won this year.
Yep.
And I think those odds are plus 1,400 for Perez to win, plus 2,000. That's not a sentence. 2,000 for Sainz to win.
Sainz plus 300 in my book for top 3 also. I don't mind.
Yeah. Really? Plus 300?
Yeah.
Because he just takes one of those top 2 to fall out, and then all of a sudden he's right there.
He's right there.
Yeah.
Ferrari's like, if they can finish the race, they've got a fast car.
Yeah, they probably.
If they can finish the race part is the problem.
Question, yeah, which was what Red Bull's issue was at the start of the year, funnily enough, and now they figured it out. So that's why I just don't see Ferrari really as a contender. I think Red Bull's locked everything up already. To be honest, like I think Max Verstappen's a champion, and I think Red Bull is winning the constructors just because Mercedes is so inconsistent with how the speed of the car is. They're really good at finishing races, but they're just not quick enough consistently. Ferrari just want to push the car so much that it screws them. Like their engine just overheats
I do enjoy when their engines overheat and they have to settle it down, because then you get the radio play-by-play and the 2 drivers are just like, this fucking car sucks. I hate this car.
I always like it where they're like, I have no grip and I just drive him perfectly around these corners. It's like, if you ever drove in Edmonton when it just snowed, I'll show you something with no grip.
Yeah.
So
I know nothing about F1, so I'm totally lost in all this, but I have a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
Okay, Liam, you mentioned that Sainz guy Carlos, yeah, plus 2,000 to win outright. For him to have a podium finish is plus 200. Is there any value on that? Like, what do you guys think about that?
I would,
there could be.
Podium.
Yeah, like he's only ever won one career race.
Okay.
And that just happened. Yeah, and he probably shouldn't have. That just happened a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So for him to finish podium, completely reasonable bet to me, especially at plus money. To win is the longer shot because you got Max Verstappen just wins everything. And if it's not him, it's probably Charles Leclerc.
As Zach types in.
I am emptying my account on Carlos to finish on the podium.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
Is that part of your BLT sandwich for this week?
That's right.
We can put a BLT sandwich together.
Yeah.
Is that want to be your leg of the sandwich?
That's my leg of the sandwich, baby.
Carlos Sainz. We're gonna have to really
fuck, man. We really got to manifest this podium by Carlos Sainz. Now all I'm picturing is him being out on the opening lap or something because the fucking car blew up.
We have to wait till Sunday for it. Go on. I'll keep it F1. I'll keep an F1 parlay here.
Yeah, I'll do F1 too.
I'll do the Mick out qualifying Magnuson.
Okay.
K-Mag.
Okay. We'll just keep this one a little tighter, I guess. I will add in Lewis Hamilton to finish top 3.
Double podium. All right. There you go. Well, that'll put a wrap on that sandwich and this podcast.
It's a riskier sandwich, too. There's only so many spots on the podium, Zach.
I don't know.
There's only 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just swinging. I know nothing about F1.
You should watch the show.
I really should.
It is awesome. Like
it really is.
I don't know. I didn't even like F1.
I didn't either.
Well,
for me to go from not knowing a fucking lick like where you are now to watching all 4 seasons, I basically crushed a season a week for 4 weeks, and then I jumped into watching the races.
My girlfriend's best friend just got into it because of her boyfriend.
Yeah.
So she's kind of working on my girlfriend to watch the show, and you guys are working on me to watch the show. So I think I might just have to succumb to the pressure and become a fan of another sport.
You should almost do it here and then just record it.
Yeah.
Like a live viewing, and we'll get Tyler to watch too.
Yeah.
That'd actually be
speaking of Tyler, I reached out to him before the podcast started to see if he'd been doing any bets while he's been away. So far, 1 bet has been placed. Could not tell the origin of our waitress's accent, so I bet my girlfriend's family, and I lost. I thought she was Romanian. Turns out, South African.
What?
Not really close at all.
They sound
nothing alike. That'd be like, Liam, you sound very Portuguese to me.
Yes. Now, if he was like, oh, I thought she was Russian. Oh, she was Russian or something like that. Sure. South African, Tyler. We're going to have to work on that.
Yeah, actually.
To survive. We're putting you through the accents quiz.
Yeah, actually South African, but Tyler thought she was Romanian, so a little bit off.
It's a tough one.
That is a tough one. And there you go. BLT Bets. Episode, what are we at? 13? In the books. It's a long one. Tyler's not here, so
no rules.
We do whatever the fuck we want.
Hell yeah.
That's right.
Ka-ching.